dance! Yippee-ki-yay, motherfucker!
I've spent countless hours diving into the vast pantheon of horror fiction, and few figures chill me to the bone quite like Pennywise the Dancing Clown from Stephen King's 1986 epic, It. While we know that the entity called It is a shape-shifting cosmic horror capable of taking on endless forms, it almost always shows up as Pennywise. Which makes me wonder, why does this ancient, incomprehensible being keep coming back to a clown? For me, the answer lies in a blend of psychological manipulation, an evolutionary predation strategy, cultural exploitation, and the very essence of childhood fear itself. And we're gonna give you the answer about this question in this video. Why It always wants to be a freaky clown. Let's begin. Before we go into our explanation, we have a very small request. If you like our content, please support us by subscribing to our channel. This is a small click for you, but for us it means a lot. Thank you. Let's begin. The entity behind the mask. Understanding its true nature. To comprehend why It favors Pennywise the Clown, one must first understand what It truly is. The creature is not merely a monster or even a traditional supernatural entity. According to King's cosmology, It is an ancient being of chaotic orange light that exists in what the novel refers to as the macroverse, a void containing and surrounding our entire universe. Its true form exists as what are called the Deadlights, a writhing mass of incomprehensible energy that drives human minds to madness upon direct contact. This entity arrived on Earth during a cataclysmic asteroid-like impact millions of years ago, settling beneath what would eventually become Derry, Maine. The being operates on feeding cycles that span approximately 27 to 30 years, during which it emerges to feed on human fear before returning to hibernation. This cyclical pattern is crucial to understanding its methodology, as it has had countless opportunities throughout human history to observe, learn, and refine its hunting techniques. The creature's shape-shifting abilities are not random transformations, but calculated psychological warfare designed to maximize the fear response in its prey. The psychology of fear. Why clowns terrify. The selection of a clown as its preferred form is rooted deep in psychological principles that Stephen King understood intuitively. The fear of clowns, known as coulrophobia, affects a significant portion of the population and has several well-documented psychological foundations. This fear often manifests in early childhood and stems from what psychologists term the uncanny valley effect, where something appears almost human, but possesses subtle, unsettling differences that trigger discomfort. Clowns present a unique psychological challenge to human perception because their painted faces obscure genuine emotional expressions. As University of Derby expert Francis Morados explains, the face is integral to nonverbal communication, and without the ability to interpret facial expressions, people struggle to identify a person's motives and thoughts. This creates an inherent sense of unease, as humans are evolutionarily programmed to read facial expressions for social and survival cues. When these cues are masked by clown makeup, the brain perceives a potential threat due to the inability to predict the individual's intentions. Children are particularly susceptible to this fear, because they cannot distinguish between fantasy and reality as effectively as adults. A child seeing a clown witnesses someone engaging in behaviors that would normally be considered inappropriate or bad, hitting, splashing, or startling others. But these actions are presented as humorous entertainment. This creates conflicting messages that can be deeply unsettling to developing minds. Furthermore, the exaggerated features, frozen smiles, and unpredictable behavior patterns of clowns can trigger fear responses in children as young as 3 years old. Stephen King's inspiration. From fairy tales to cultural icons, King's creation of Pennywise drew from multiple cultural and psychological sources. The author has stated that the inspiration came partly from asking himself what children feared more than anything else in the world, with clowns being his answer. However, the conceptual foundation reached deeper into his literary imagination. King has revealed that it originated from his recollection of the three billy goats Gruff, specifically the troll that lived under the bridge, threatening to devour anyone who tried to cross. He envisioned transplanting this ancient fairy tale concept into a modern urban setting, with the creature living in the sewer system beneath a contemporary American town. The specific visual design of Pennywise also drew inspiration from cultural clown figures that would have been familiar to American children. King has mentioned that Pennywise represents a fusion of iconic clowns, including Ronald McDonald, Clarabelle, and Bozo the Clown. This combination was deliberate, as these figures were deeply embedded in American childhood culture during the 1970s and 80s, when King was developing the character. An amusing anecdote King has shared involves sitting next to someone dressed as Ronald McDonald on an airplane, who immediately lit up a cigarette when the no smoking light went off, providing a jarring contrast between the wholesome public image and the reality behind the costume. The predator's perfect disguise, efficiency and accessibility. From a predatory perspective, the clown form represents an optimal hunting strategy for several reasons. Throughout American history, clowns have held a unique position in entertainment culture, particularly in relation to children. Circus performers and party entertainers gained widespread acceptance in communities because they were perceived as harmless, child-friendly figures. This cultural positioning provided it with natural access to its preferred prey without arousing suspicion. Clowns are expected to approach children, interact with them, and be present at locations where children gather. This societal permission makes the Pennywise form an ideal predatory disguise, as it provides legitimate reasons to be near potential victims. Additionally, the theatrical nature of clown performance allows it to engage in behaviors that might otherwise seem suspicious, talking to strange children, appearing in unexpected locations, or behaving in exaggerated attention-getting ways, without triggering adult protective instincts. The Feast of Fear. Why terror enhances the hunt. Its preference for frightening prey is fundamental to understanding why the Pennywise form is so effective. The creature feeds not just on flesh, but on fear itself, with terror acting as what the entity describes as salt for the meat. This feeding mechanism requires it to be more than simply a physical predator. It must be a psychological terrorist capable of generating maximum dread in its victims. The clown form excels at this psychological manipulation, because it can shift between seeming benign and revealing horrific aspects. Pennywise can appear as a friendly entertainer one moment and transform into a nightmare the next, creating a psychological whiplash that generates intense fear responses. This ability to oscillate between comfort and terror is particularly effective with children, who are more susceptible to both trusting colorful, animated characters and being traumatized when those characters reveal malevolent aspects. Research into coulrophobia reveals that the fear often stems from uncertainty about harmful intent, unpredictability of behavior, and the inability to read genuine emotions behind the makeup. It exploits all of these psychological vulnerabilities simultaneously, using the clown form to create maximum psychological distress in its victims. The creature's supernatural abilities allow it to push these natural fears far beyond what a real clown could achieve, manifesting in possible physical transformations and reality-distorting illusions that amplify terror to supernatural levels. The consistency of the clown form across multiple feeding cycles suggests that this disguise has proven remarkably durable and effective. Unlike other cultural figures that might become dated or lose their appeal to children, clowns have maintained a persistent presence in entertainment culture, even as public attitudes toward them have shifted. This cultural persistence makes the clown form a reliable long-term strategy for a creature that operates across centuries. The entity's intelligence is evident in its understanding that while specific clown aesthetics might change, from traditional circus performers to television personalities to party entertainers, the fundamental psychology dynamics remain constant. Children continue to be simultaneously attracted to and unsettled by clown figures, providing it with a consistent psychological foundation for its manipulations regardless of minor cultural variations. As long as children experience fear and adults remember the vulnerabilities of childhood, Pennywise will remain a potent and terrifying figure, serving as the perfect vessel for an ancient evil that has learned to hunt humanity with devastating psychological precision. This brings us to the end of our video. Thanks for staying with us till the end. If you liked what you see here, drop a sub for us. It helps a lot. Be safe and be marvelous. Thanks, everyone.